a threat. And one of the things that can't be attacked is your self-custody Bitcoin. And one of the things that can be attacked is the ETF. You can't be exposed to that. That's my view. It's not a good idea. And by the way, that'll hit MSTR too. It'll probably hit other stuff as well. Friends and enemies, welcome back. Canadian Bitcoiners podcast.
Friends and enemies, welcome to the CBP. Wanna be better informed? Listen to Len and Joey. Sponsors taken care of right off the top. Bull, Bitcoin, and easy DNS. The media is feeding the slop. It doesn't matter what topics discussed. Quality entertainment and information you can trust.
That's being planned or at least discussed. You know, we're not going to allow
quality entertainment and information you can trust. Send the guy some value, boost them with some stats. Bitcoin is a scarcity asset. I mean, it's just a fact. Geopolitical, national, down to the local cloud.
Friends and enemies. How great was that?
So, did you make that, or was that somebody that made it for us? A combination of
our
the two?
friend Dee's Laughs, who's been watching the show for some time, I take it anyway, made that for us, unsolicited, kind of unsolicited. He made us, or he did a couple of songs where he sampled stuff that we said on the show. And I told him it'd be really nice to have a theme song for the show. And he made one. And he offered to do it for our friendship. And I ended up sending him a couple $100 for his efforts out of the show coffers. But how great is that? You like that intro? I really like that. I made the video today in Canva. I mean, I told Dee's Laughs, my video editing skills are a work in progress, but I think that's really cool. I really like that.
I like the beginning though that you're giving a talk. We're talking about ETFs and Coinbase. I love it. This is what we should be talking about. This is what we should be preaching and doing. It's not just saying it. We gotta fucking do it. Right?
Yeah. Good to see you. Happy long weekend, I guess. End of the long weekend. What'd you get up to?
Oh, I mowed the lawn, did a bunch of loads of laundry, just a lot of domestic chores over here.
Nice.
But it was good to get them out of the way. It was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Sunny, but I wish it was a little bit warmer. How about you?
Cut my lawn, cut my father-in-law's lawn, laundry.
Well, it looks like we're in the same boat, eh? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's the domestic dream, right? I think this is what people are after. It's funny, we talk all the time about how the Canadian dream is being taken away. I don't ever think I said to myself growing up, I can't wait to spend my holiday Monday cutting lawns. I took my little one to fireworks yesterday in Dundas, which was kind of funny. Lots of kids there, good times. We didn't stay for the actual show. It's a little past your bedtime, but we saw some friends with their little kids. And
any enemies?
No enemies there. It's just you know what? I kind of was thinking about this a little bit today, just reflecting on the last, year, 2 years. My life has changed quite a bit, and you don't really think about the changes as they're happening. They're kind of minor. And then obviously when I had my daughter, things started to change a little faster. And now they've really just it's a completely different lifestyle than I was living, 4 years ago, certainly 10 years ago. And I got to say, like, for all the guys out there, I mean, I'm going to preach a little bit here. For all the guys out there who think that being happy is like heading to bars and chasing pussy all the time, like there's a time and a place for that. But I will tell you that if you're with a good woman and you're worried about settling down because you don't want to, miss out on the good times that you've been having, you cannot do it fast enough. Honestly, your life will get better. Things will get easier. And you'll find that, this is the way you are meant to live, man. It's not. It
really depends, though. This is not a one-size-fit-all approach. Sometimes people just want to do some things, even at an advanced age. They may still want to continually doing stuff what they were doing at a young age.
Yeah,
all the more power to them. Like whatever turns their crank, go ahead and do it. As long as it's not harming anybody else, I don't give a fuck.
No, I don't. It's not that I care. I'm just saying, don't be afraid to take the jump. Don't worry about missing out or whatever. You may find that you're better off. Anyway, I mean, we could talk about that if we want, but I don't think people want to hear us talk about that. We got some usual.
Oh my God, we got so much to talk about before we talk about the sponsors, but we should talk about the sponsors.
Yeah, EasyDNS. Mark is our friend, not our enemy. Best place for you to register a domain. Mark is your friendly neighborhood registrar, as he likes to say. Len, they got so much going on in EasyDNS now. Mark tells us from time to time that he's added a new service, added a new suite of available goodies there for people who are using EasyDNS. Easy Mail is the latest. Make sure that your emails are safe, secure, not stolen, not hijacked, not any of these things. More important than ever these days, obviously, with the Coinbase breach. Don't forget about DomainSure, making sure that your domains are protected. up to date, secure, all these things. There's tons of people gunning for your info and gunning for the information of people who use your services or on your newsletter list or are your client, et cetera, et cetera. Mark, make sure that none of that stuff happens to you. Go there, pay with Bitcoin if you like, and don't forget to use the promo code CBP Media. Get 50% off your first round of buys. And if you're a Bitcoiner, like there's no better way to support businesses than paying in Bitcoin. But it's hard for me to imagine that anyone wants to do that all the same. So go there, pay with whatever you want. But yeah, Mark, obviously, big friend of the show. We're glad to have him as a partner. Who's the other sponsor?
It's bull Bitcoin, and price of Bitcoin is volatile, Joey, these days. It's very volatile. It's always 1 second it's going to be like 103, another second it's 107. So I don't know what to do with Bitcoin, except, well, for me, I'll continually stack, and bull Bitcoin gives you that opportunity to stack. What some people want to sell, and bull Bitcoin gives you that opportunity to sell as well. You can do it on chain. You could do it with Lightning. Last I checked, the fees for on chain were still very, very cheap. So continually do that. But that's just my opinion. Do whatever the heck you want to do. But the good thing about bull Bitcoin, we'll talk about this more in depth, is number one, being non-custodial in nature. They don't hold on to your Bitcoin. Number two, everything is done within house. This is a really good thing, and I'll talk about that more in depth. But you could also pay off your bills with Bitcoin. There's a recent new offering with Bitcoin in the United States, and it's just showing off it's a medium of exchange. So you might as well use your Bitcoin to start paying off stuff. You could use your Bitcoin through Bitcoin's bill service to pay your bills, like an outstanding credit card or whatever. You could do that. You can also buy gift cards with your Bitcoin, and you could use bull Bitcoin to facilitate that. And so like that, you can start using your Bitcoin indirectly in the real world. Not many opportunities to do that right now, but every day seems to be more and more of a trade. We have choices with Bitcoin. We have choices, and let's start using it as a medium of exchange. I, for one, am not, and I'm going to start doing it a little bit more moving forward. So check out bull Bitcoin if you haven't yet opened an account. Referral link below, and it will help us out tremendously if you do that.
Outstanding. Boost, shall we?
You know what? Boost, I fucked up because I tried to get it today.
Oh, yeah.
And for whatever reason, the app wasn't able to get me the boost. So I'm just
Oscar.
So I'm sorry. Whatever boost came in this past week, I can't read them. I normally try to get them on either Sunday or Monday, but it was a long weekend, so I forgot what the fuck. I'm not working Monday. I'll try to get it on Monday, but it didn't work. So sorry about that.
It's all good, buddy. Housekeeping. Last week, Shay and you had a nice conversation through some
technical issues,
through some internet difficulties. Yeah, but a good conversation all the same. We appreciate him coming on, and we appreciate Pablo for putting us in touch with him. Listen to that one if you haven't already. This week, Len, Wednesday, Joe Barbudo, the economic long wave, making his CBP return. It's going to be hard to find a guy who's been more right than him over the last 2 or 3 years. And we're going to talk about where we are in the long wave. We'll talk about some new policy. We'll talk about the deflation, the asset deflation that's happening all over the world. You know, where Canada is, what we've got coming for us. And I will note that although we don't have a guest booked after Joe, I am talking to Madex. I am talking to the Bugle. And I think I may also reach out to Julian Figueroa. The Bugle guys are going to do the show. Madex also going to do the show. But next week, Len, you know what next week is. So it's hard to book a guest for next week, is the Vegas conference. Everyone's going to the conference. So, yeah. So maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll do a crowd Q&A. Maybe we'll do a home team, you and me, for half an hour. I don't know. But got to see if I can get somebody to come on. The Vegas conference is absorbing tons of our normal sort of roster of guests. So TBD, but look forward to those shows in the future. And obviously Joe this week on Wednesday is going to be a banger. You don't want to miss that. He's one of the brightest guys around, and I'm looking forward to talking to him.
Well, that's the same Italian Canadian Bitcoiners pod. There's the Italian Bitcoin podcast. There actually is one, Joey, and a couple of guys, Guybrush Threepwood and Ricky. They do that show. Actually, Ricky's the big main guy, and Guybrush is his tag along, it seems. So maybe we'll try snagging them to come on. I don't think they're going to Nashville next week. Who the fuck wants to go there to watch?
It's in Vegas, not Nashville.
Oh, whatever. Vegas. Yeah. Whatever. The beautiful thing is there was some sort of crypto conference that took place this past week in Toronto, and we had one friend of the show went there and just kind of showed off that there's some shit coins inside over there. Good stuff. Yeah, I don't want to say too much, but I'll leave it at that.
The pictures were great. Yeah,
the same thing. And I hope the same type of treatment is going to be done to the conference in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well let's get started. That's the shortest intro we've ever had. Maybe we can actually talk about
your
Bitcoin.
Name, but I don't
for
want to just
50
call you out
minutes
just in
today.
case. You know, I don't. I do, but I don't. So I'll leave it at that. So
All
I'm not
good,
calling you
all
in a
good.
good way, calling you out. So yeah,
Where do you
Joey,
wanna start?
we have
Yeah.
a lot to talk about today.
Big week. Yep.
So you know what? I'm gonna leave it up to you. Leave it up to the people out there. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to do more Bitcoin stuff this week? Do you want to do more notable stuff this week?
I mean,
can
there's some
pivot.
good notables too, right? Like
Yeah.
the Carney cabinet's a good one. Stephen Guilbeault talking about all this no pipeline stuff. I'm just gonna look through the stories here. Len sends me the stories on Sunday, and I'm just gonna make a quick snap decision here. The Katie Martin story is absolutely
You know what? You
fantastic
don't
too.
have,
Like,
why don't we leave it up to the people in the chat? What do you want to hear? And we'll just do it. Like, and you don't have to say right now, but somewhere along the lines, they can say you want to hear more Bitcoin stuff. They want to hear more notable stuff, and we'll just go from there. I'll just chop one story.
Sure.
Two
Yeah,
stories.
we'll see as we get closer to the hour here, where we go at 7:50.
And yeah,
so.
maybe we'll just make an executive decision, you and I too, Joey.
Sure.
Everybody
Yeah, whatever. We'll do whatever we want. It's our show.
Exactly, right? Like Coinbase is the number one discussion point.
Let's do it.
Yeah, the biggest news. At least I think the biggest news.
My largest equity holding, Coinbase.
Is it? Wait, fuck off. Is that really the case? Thank you. It's not the case. I continually DCA Joey because you're doing a good thing. But anyway, they are one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world, and they announced they suffered a data breach. We'll be talking about this more in depth, I guess, an access of easy.
Yeah.
And they disclosed this data on May 15th, and the data breach was a result of social engineering attack. And it looks like the people that fucked up were the customer support agents, and they were overseas folks. So
yeah, they're in India.
all the more
it looks like they're in India. Like that's what everyone on Twitter is saying. Yeah,
exactly. That's what's being reported. It's some Indian folks out there. And so it's all the more reason why you should look at an exchange like Bull Bitcoin. I don't want to pump their bags, but the reality is those guys do all their shit in-house, including creating memes. And so because they're not outsourcing anything, they were able to control their stuff. Coinbase, they lost that control when they started outsourcing all this garbage. So some of the overseas support agents, they misused their powers to gain access to Coinbase internal customer support system, and they got access to some of the user data. And the data stolen is all the regular stuff and more that we talk about on Access of Easy, Joey. We got like names, telephone numbers, addresses, email address, but then it goes a little bit further. Last 4 digits of the social security numbers,
no big deal.
Bank account details.
Is that important stuff? Any of that doesn't sound that important.
Maybe, we'll see, because the images to IDs that they use to KYC themselves, account balances, transaction history. So now that could be really fucking bad. You know, I would say it's good news for Coinbase because their internal documents related to Coinbase operations weren't taken, but a few corporate documents were stolen, just like training material. So with respect to that, Coinbase their business remains intact and they're okay. But with this information, if somebody gets access to it, they could create a profile on an individual on who uses Coinbase. So with all that taken into context, what is the plan moving forward? Well, initially they tried to extort $20 million from Coinbase, and Coinbase is saying nah, and they're playing hardball. And in the end, you know, let's be honest, it's just their customers who got fucked. So why pay $20 million of corporate money when it's just so, you know, just offer those customers out there 1 free year of credit monitoring services, and maybe even throw in the next airdrop of shitcoins that come out. Maybe that was one way. Apparently they have to pay up to $400 million for this. It's not
going to be cheap. Yeah, it's not going to be cheap.
No. And Coinbase, to their credit, they reacted. After this, they decided to stop the employment of these overseas individuals, those compromised support agents. Too, you know, that's the barn has left the horse has left the barn, so might as well close the door now. And they also issued a $20 million bounty, leading to the arrest of those individuals. And they notified those customers that were impacted. And from the reports, they're saying it's less than 1% of users. Around 100,000 Coinbase users may have been impacted, but people out there are suspecting this number is very, very low, being reported very low on purpose. People on X are saying that they know a number of people that use Coinbase, and all of them seems to have been given some communication from Coinbase that they've been infiltrated. So it looks like that 1%, I don't know if it's truthful. It's probably much higher. And with respect to Coinbase, at least they have seen the light. They got rid of those Peters out there that have strong Indian accents, and now they're just going to be doing the duck cleaning services. No longer are they going to be the Coinbase technical support. So with respect to it, though, thankfully the attack is limited in scope, and I'm saying this limited, we'll use air quotes here, because those people that were impacted, a lot of information was taken, but this could have been even a heck of a lot more worse than what it is right now. Like, imagine if the customer's keys were stolen. It wasn't the case. Imagine if the keys holding on to corporate Bitcoin was taken.
Yeah,
wasn't the case.
That's a big one, right? That's a big one. A lot of treasuries using Coinbase to do custody. Yeah. Interesting, right?
Right. That's the honeypot out there, and I would imagine there has been and will continue to be attacks to try to get that. And this could have been an absolute nightmare. And if it was the absolute worst case scenario, this would have taken down Coinbase. But I suspect what we see now are signs of things that will come in the future. If you think Coinbase is this fortress that is impenetrable, no. Everything can be fucking attacked. And I think it's just a matter of time. In the end, all you could do really is use a reputable exchange. Find one that values your data, your privacy. Yeah. They don't outsource shit. They non-custodial nature is really good. Bitcoin focus as well. Like, pick and choose whichever. There's well, Bitcoin is one, but there's others out there. Try to do your research. Pick the right exchange. Don't deal with this garbage like Coinbase. They deal with a lot of shit coins. They outsource a lot of garbage. And here you are. If you were a customer, your information is out there. Good luck. Oh, I can't hear you, Joe. You're muted, buddy. Or maybe I'm muted. Oh, what the heck? Hang on, I'm going to play some. Is it my side or yours? Let me just play a random video. So, ladies and gents, who can we hear? You or me? Yeah, mine is fine. I can't. Mine is, line is clear. So, Joey, oh man, Joey's muted. So yeah, he'll be back. Looks like he's giving.
Yeah, sorry, my mistake.
You are back.
Yep. Yeah, something happened there. I don't know what happened. But anyway, listen. So the thing that I will say is I didn't get a notification that I was breached. Okay, that's one thing I looked for and tried to find, like, how they were handling this. I saw a few of the customer service emails that went out. Pretty lackluster, honestly, I thought. But I think the more important thing, at least as far as I'm concerned, is that they are, quote unquote, taking responsibility and paying out people who were pwned, like you said, to the tune of $400 million. That's a lot of money. That's the first thing I like. The thing I don't like, Len, is that there's, like, now I'm getting, they say that I wasn't breached, but I'm getting tons of phone calls, steady, from all sorts of people. I just got a text message from some number I didn't recognize saying that my Coinbase, what did it say? I probably deleted the message already, but it basically said, like, your Coinbase account was just tried to log in. Someone just tried to log into your Coinbase account, blah, blah, blah. You should check this out. Call this number if you originated this, or if you didn't originate this attempt. You know the deal. So they're telling you that you weren't hacked, like you said, and that number that they're reporting is very low, if I had to guess. The other thing for me that's important to remember here is that, like you mentioned, Coinbase's probably custody is close to, like, fortress strength. Fine. Even if you believe that, they're only as strong as their weakest link. And you see that with stuff like this. You go into these foreign call centers, they're socially engineered by somebody, and before you know it, they have your phone number, your social insurance number, your address, all these different things, I'll note here that this is why it's so important not to keep your Bitcoin.
Uh-oh.
What? What's wrong?
You froze. I don't know if it was me freezing or you.
I don't know. I look fine. But the thing I would say is that it's important not to keep your Bitcoin at your residential address. So if you live, at some apartment, or you have, like, one property that you reside at, you shouldn't be keeping your keys and all your stuff there. Okay? Should not be doing that. The reason for that is because if you end up in a situation where your address gets leaked, there will be a time when Bitcoin is worth enough money that the risk incurred by someone who's coming to rent you is worth the chance they're taking. And if you don't think that that's a problem, and you think that, you're armed at your house, you're going to fight off an intruder, like, fine. But the better move is to just not keep your keys and everything in one place. There's services with which you can do this. I'm not necessarily endorsing any of these services, but there are services out there that will do multi-sig for you. I think there's a place for those. And it seems to me, Len, like the more people use these big exchanges and have their address leaked, have their totals leaked, have their whatever leaked, that maybe these services grow in terms of their user base. It becomes another honeypot, in my opinion, at some level, but that's a story for another day. I just don't think that people should be taking this lightly. Like you're at what is price there? 105 on Bitcoin USD. Like that's quite a bit. If let's say you're one of these people with like 50 Bitcoin, right? Came around in 2013 or 14 and you got 50 Bitcoin. Someone has your address now because you used Coinbase once upon a time. Like we all did, by the way. What is the thing stopping them from coming to your house now? What is the thing stopping them? 3 or 4 people coming to your house. You know, if you got 50 Bitcoin, if someone can see on your Coinbase account in your transaction history that you've accumulated 50 Bitcoin through Coinbase 10 years ago or 15 years ago, whatever, 12 years ago, and now you like there's no, evidence that you've sold or whatever, they'll come to you. Coinbase should be on the hook for a lot more than 400 million, in my opinion. And it's people's safety now. You might be talking about some OGs needing to move. You've heard stories now. I think Ben actually tweeted out that he got a phone call, like a threat of violence or whatever. So like these guys are not fucking around. It's a lot of money sitting out there in Bitcoin. It's $1 trillion and change in market cap, and a lot of those coins they've been dormant for a long time. And if you're a Coinbase user from the old days, a lot of you probably are. We are for sure. Your address is out there. I'm fortunate. I've moved since my Coinbase days twice, but all said, that's still that information I want to be out there, and you shouldn't want it either. And I hope Coinbase is taking a task for this by somebody, though I don't see that happening. Certainly not the U.S. legal system. I don't think they're going to pursue this. So,
well, the obligations end at them just making their customers whole.
But they shouldn't though. Like because as soon as someone is hurt or kidnapped or whatever, like at that point you have to at least entertain. I would guess the Coinbase legal team.
I know where you're going, and I'm with you 100%.
Yeah. I would guess the Coinbase legal team is considering these things right now, as they should be.
By doing so, that's an admission, though, and I think that's a slippery slope for them.
I'm with you. Yeah.
To minimize the amount of damages they have to pay, they just have to really make their customers whole, and maybe provide a little bit of a carrot on top of that. And other than that,
credit monitoring services, or something?
Right? Something like that. It's just something so minimalistic that it's not going to impact the bottom line. Yeah. But it'll be enough to appease lawyers and the legal system to say, "Look, we've done our job, and we've done a little bit more." Yeah. Anything beyond that really should be done, but I think it puts them in a position that they would have to really pay out, and it may put or set a precedence moving forward. Then, if something else happens again, then they'll have to do what they did this time around in terms of extra. And as a business, whatever. Like all I say is just use a better exchange. There's better exchanges out there. Coinbase, they're notoriously aligned with shitcoins. Right, like there's a lot of shitcoinery going on there,
and this is why, this is why I'll just add too that Coinbase is obviously publicly traded, and MAU or DAU, like the active user count, is what they really care about, and it's what investors seem to care about in a lot of the cases. So, Coinbase, it's worth Coinbase's time from an equity valuation standpoint to really ramp up the number of people they have in their database and ramp up the number of people they can say are active on their platform every day. And those people, Len, they often don't have the means. Like, you think about the person who gambles on shitcoins, right? Like, does that guy have the means to protect himself if something happens at his home address? Like, probably not. Does that guy have the bank account to stomach a loss? Even if it's just short term, while Coinbase decides how they're going to reimburse those accounts, like probably not. You're looking at a lot of pain for these guys. And one of the things we haven't talked about a lot on the show in the last year, because we've just been honestly winning basically at every turn, is, how many people will this turn off from Bitcoin? whether we like it or not, to the normie, Coinbase is still synonymous with Bitcoin, and they shouldn't be, but this is sort of the way it is. If this turns more and more people off to Bitcoin, it's, I think, a net negative. You want people coming into the space. Coinbase, for all its faults, is still probably top of funnel for a lot of people, especially in the States. So, you know, you're kind of, you're damaging what could have been a solid top of funnel company for a lot of people, because they will affiliate this with a scam now. When you search for Coinbase on Google, this will probably come up for at least the medium term. It'll be one of the first results, right? You know, big hack, big social engineering nightmare, whatever they want to call it. It's not good. None of this is good.
It points people in the direction of like ETFs and stuff.
Well,
unfortunately, it does that.
Yeah, I mean, we disagree.
Right, like
we disagree on the ETFs overall, but yeah,
the custody is done by somebody. They take care of, they manage it all.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and it's so beautiful. The less you have to do, you just have to give them your money.
It's just number go up, right? Come on. No custody, no nothing, no sovereignty. It's, you know what the other thing too is, like, the another positive. If this had happened 3 years ago, what would the price of Bitcoin have been? You know, what would the drop have been on news that Coinbase was, you know, hacked? I keep saying hacked. I'm using that term sort of proverbially here, but hacked to the tune of $400 million. Like, what would the price of Bitcoin would have dropped? What, 20%, 30%? More. I'm
surprised it was resilient. It did drop a little bit, but not
probably not on that news though. You know,
I think it's understated. Remember, they're saying 1% of the customers.
But that 400 million number is not going to be understated. That's going to have to be reported on some SEC
that is
in the future.
They're saying that it's being reported 180 to 400 million. So that's out there in the wild.
Yeah,
it's just whatever. It seems to with respect to the price of Bitcoin, that's deflected it, and it hasn't really impacted it. Also, if this happened in 2022,
oh god, imagine
during the
chaos.
Downward, that would have just fucking driven this to 4 digits.
Agree.
We were getting dangerously close.
When did Coinbase go public? 21. So
yeah,
you know, they go public in 21, and a year later they lose $400 million in user funds at an outsourced call center. Like, you couldn't write a better story in terms of down talking and downplaying the significance of Bitcoin in the financial system, right? But now it's you know, to Bitcoin's credit and to the community's credit, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Coinbase is no longer synonymous with Bitcoin for the average person, and that's one of the reasons the price didn't drop the way that we're, you know, hypothesizing that it would have if it was 2 years earlier or 3 years earlier. That's a good sign. It's a good sign. And this is a battle test, right, for Bitcoin stuff like this. We haven't had a good battle test in a while.
Well, we had the opportune shit come up.
Yeah, but I more mean like on the number go up side. The opportune stuff is important too. We talked about that a lot last week and the week before. I agree with you there. But as far as like a normie world, NPC world battle test, this is one of the first we've had in some time, and not that difficult a test, I will admit. But it's good to see that people are realizing that Bitcoin's value doesn't come from whether or not Coinbase is secure or not.
This next story is one that I think is very positive. It's Steak and Shake.
You like this, eh? Yeah, tell me. Yeah. Okay, so why do you like it? Tell me why you like it.
So let me just lay what it is for people who are unaware. It's a burger joint that operates in the United States and in Europe too. For whatever reason, there's no stores in Canada.
They're in Europe? I didn't know that.
Yeah, from what I read. And so they are now accepting Bitcoin as payment through the Lightning Network. And this started on May 16th. So as of May 16th, just 3 days ago, you could go to a Steak and Shake and pay through Lightning to purchase your meal. And people on X are showing off receipts and all this shit that we made to purchase. Even today, I saw another one. And just be careful, though, that, you know, this may not be the flex you may think it is, because the IRS will be looking at this and they may want their 35 cents of capital return that hasn't been reporting your taxes. So just keep that in mind. So that's essentially what it is. I also want to note that there are some stores, maybe all of them, the first 5 customers were given a commemorative Bitcoin token, a coin, like a physical coin, as a way to say thank you for making your purchase with Bitcoin. So what I like about this is because it's a peer-to-peer exchange. You're using Bitcoin as money. And that's really what we should be pushing for, what Bitcoin is. Not just simply a store of value, but it's also money that could be used to replace what we use as money. And that could really increase the case use of Bitcoin and make it, well, the adoption increase, right? It's not just store of value. It's not just putting money in an ETF. It's not money or Bitcoin companies buying Bitcoin. Those are news. They can, good or bad, take away what you think it is. This is the shit that I like. I want to see this being used as a fucking currency. And I want to see more stories like this, but it's going to be an uphill battle because the fact it's deemed to be a commodity, and you have that capital gains bullshit that has to be applied when you sell Bitcoin. So it's going to make it harder to entice people to sell their Bitcoin. But when you have more and more stories like this, as a movement grows, then maybe, just maybe, it could push lawmakers into changing the existing laws and consider Bitcoin as a currency moving forward. It may not happen overnight, but you need more of these stories to change the lawmakers' minds.
Do you think? Okay, I'm going to disagree with the last part of that. I actually don't think you need more stories like this to change lawmakers' minds, for one sort of big glaring reason. Bitcoin is growing in value now to the point where people who own Bitcoin have a ton of wealth that soon, if not now, they'll be willing to spend for goods and services to improve their lives, to improve the lives of their kids, whatever. If the government continues to hold hostage all that captive wealth because of, old school, really, tax regimes related to capital gains and, trading Bitcoin or whatever they want to say, right? Like every sell is a trade, you got to pay. Every spend is a trade, you got to pay. They can keep doing that if they want, but people will just either hold the Bitcoin and take loans against it for less value and further lever the economy, which I think now there's at least some awareness in the mainstream that this is a bad thing. So they can either do that, or those Bitcoiners will just leave those jurisdictions and go to friendlier ones. There is no magic soil anywhere in the world. Canada is great because of Canadians. America is great because of Americans. If those people, the net producers and the sort of, cultural guardians of those nations, leave for greener pastures because they're being treated with a friendlier hand in other jurisdictions, then America will stop being America and Canada will stop being Canada. And, the new Bitcoin friendly nation X or whatever that pops up will get this money, this wealth, and this productivity. So I think America, and I think if I look at the administration and the way they talk about Bitcoin and the way that Lutnick specifically talks about it, I get the feeling they're going to start moving toward this. They want to unlock that wealth. They want people to be using their Bitcoin, spending their Bitcoin, and contributing to the GDP, as opposed to holding it, watching the number go up, playing with their Bitcoins, whatever Trump said at the conference last year. I think that there's going to be a move toward allowing for spending without, burdensome, cumbersome tax laws. I think that's coming. But that aside, Steak and Shake accepting Bitcoin on Lightning. That's huge. I am really shocked that they set up a system. What's that?
They wouldn't take on chain.
No, but I know they wouldn't. But I'm saying it's nice to see these guys go the extra mile as far as accepting Bitcoin. It's really not just symbolic, right? Because like you said, on chain is basically a joke for small transactions. But Lightning takes a little bit more work, right? You got to set up some rails on your own, and
100% they outsource this.
That's fine. I don't care. I don't care if they outsourced it, because what I see is these guys took it seriously enough that they wanted this to be a good experience for people who are using Bitcoin, and maybe they'll benefit from it. I don't think it's going to contribute to their bottom line materially at all for the time being, but down the road, who knows, right? We'll see. It's interesting.
One thing
Bitcoiners love supporting Bitcoin businesses.
Yes,
and I haven't, people will do it.
I haven't heard of one story of a Lightning payment not going through with respect to Steak and Shake. I mean, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I haven't come across it.
It's good.
So whatever they're doing, how they have it set up, the liquidity, all that fucking shit, it's working out well. I think they outsourced it.
Who's doing it? I wonder. There's only so many companies that could do it at that scale, right? I wonder who's doing it for them.
My guess, they got Phoenix involved. That's my guess, but who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But still, I want to see more stories like this, because Bitcoin, in order for Bitcoin to take over, right? To be adopted as something that other than just a fucking commodity that you could buy in an ETF or through Coinbase or through MSTR or whatever. We need more stories like this, right? But the reality is, it fucking sucks right now to spend Bitcoin just because of the administration burden required. how much was your buy price? When did you buy it?
Yeah.
What was your sell price when you? And then you have to fucking provide this. And then who knows? The tax man may want you to provide more information for other things, and they may want to look in to see if you made other purchases. And you're opening up a can of worms that shouldn't have been opened in the first place. But you need trailblazers out there to fucking just do something. Without that, we'll just be treading water, and there's gonna be no change. Right? Change is only done is when people want it and when people are showing that there's a case use. Until somebody does it, like, not to say that Steak and Shake is the be all and end all. It's small potatoes.
Yeah.
If you look at even Steak and Shake, the number of stores that they have, it's been slowly dwindling. They've been closing operations. I don't think it's all that successful as a business.
When are they going to become a Bitcoin treasury company to try and survive?
Is it fucking
are they on that
publicly
route?
Traded?
I don't know.
That's
not sure.
Okay.
I'd love to know though. It's
Let's
funny, these guys are going this route.
It is.
So there you go. Is it possible to
parent
become a
company is
treasury
called
company? I don't know.
Biglari Holdings Inc. traded on the
they're
New York Stock
Italian?
Exchange. Biglari.
Sounds Italian.
Bigliardi? No. And then BH.
You have mixed picks in the chat saying that the company doing the lightning management for them is TriSpeed. So I've not heard of that company, but it's not, like you said, it's not surprising they're outsourcing it. I still give them credit for going that route. What?
They're trading at 241 USD.
Time to get on board. This is rocket ship.
Christ. And you know what? Like in the past 5 years, it's gone up from around $55 to where it is now. You know what? Maybe this is the new stock we should be purchasing. Fuck the MSTR.
We got to get off Semler
Selling
and
everything.
MSTR and get on.
You know what? Let's talk about MSTR now. Like,
sure. Okay.
Right. So there's some news that came out today with respect to MSTR. They didn't buy Bitcoin. I want to talk. They may have. I don't know. But what the thing that was I found to be very interesting is this guy named Anas Hamza.
Okay.
He filed a class action lawsuit against Michael Saylor's strategy.
Yeah, this is a bullshit suit. But anyway,
so
go ahead.
So this guy Anas, his lawsuit, he claims that MSTR has misrepresented the fundamental aspects.
I think you're misrepresenting fundamental aspects of this guy's name. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, sorry.
He's very litigious. I don't know. You're pretty brave to be doing that.
I'm just reading the Mr. Anas here. He's claiming that MSTR misrepresented fundamentals aspects with respect to Bitcoin and their investment strategy. And he's saying this violates security laws. And others besides Anas could also jump on board because this is a class action lawsuit, right?
Of course.
If you held MSTR stock between April 30th, 2024 and April 4th, 2025.
That's me. That's me.
You could jump on board. All you have to do, you have until July 15th. All you have to do is ask the court to appoint you as the lead plaintiff for this thing. So if you have any questions, I could even give you the telephone number to contact. If you, we could all call in and get some information. But yeah, I found it to be very interesting. Pissed off about the volatility, I guess, of MicroStrategy. But I don't know. I don't think there's going to be much to this. This guy, why did a lawyer take this? I mean, class action lawsuit. Don't they get paid at the end?
People are dumb. There's probably so many people who lost money on MSTR trying to play.
There's a lot of people that made money in MSTR.
Oh, too. For sure. I mean, I made a small fortune on MSTR. So did everyone else I know, basically. Yeah, I think the big thing is that the suit also claims that he's misrepresenting the profitability of the Bitcoin buys. So what is the implication there? That he doesn't have the Bitcoin he says he has? Is that it? I mean, it's like impossible. The lesson here is that people want proof of reserves from these guys. I think. He
says misleading statements regarding their business operations and prospects, specifically made false and misleading statements and/or failed to disclose that the anticipated profitability of the company, their Bitcoin-focused investment strategy, and treasury operations were overstated.
I mean, how
He's also talking about the volatility of Bitcoin and magnitude of losses.
Yeah, that's his problem. It's more he's really accusing Saylor of having like a character flaw, right? Like basically calling him a liar. I'm not sure that you can sue somebody for overselling a strategy. If you've ever listened to an earnings call, famously Uber on a call, I think it was this year or last year, Len, they talked about how they were going to have what they call.
I'm going to hardwire my computer. I'll be back in just a sec. So
sure. So I'll keep talking. The thing, Uber, in terms of like overselling stuff and whether or not you can be sued for that, Uber on an earnings call said that they were inventing basically like a high traffic route, a repeated route that was going to be available at certain times of day. And you just have to walk a little bit to get to a certain part of the route to get picked up, and they'll take you down the route. And, at the end of the route, the car will turn around and come back the other way. And like they sold this as like, I think it was called like Uber Share or something like that. But really it's just a fucking bus. It just sounds like a bus route. And I don't think Uber got sued over that. And last time I checked, Uber stock price is at an all-time high. So I don't think overselling something in terms of like a stock is really something you can be sued over. It's more an art form that these guys are all practicing on, especially on earnings calls. Saylor more than most, obviously, but doesn't mean it's illegal, I don't think.
Enron and Bear Stearns.
But your video's locked. I can't see you. I can hear you, but your video's locked. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Keep talking. Maybe it'll kick back.
Okay. Well, we can talk about maulers next. And it looks like Strike is not doing any funny business with the Bitcoin.
That's what he says. Yeah, that's what he says. Yeah.
Right. So you were mentioning that's what people are going to be doing is with the lending of Bitcoin rather than selling it. So I suspect I'm with you on this, that this type of business is going to be much more prevalent in the future because people don't want to deal with the headaches of capital gains taxes and shit like that. But with respect to this, Maulers, there was a lot of questioning with what they're going to be doing. He's saying, no, there's no funny business. It's going to be just given to their partner. Bitcoin is going to remain as collateral and not handed out. So remember they once used, Strike did, what was it? Prime Trust?
Yeah.
As one of their, so they're still going to use another.
Do you think that this guy, not to like, again, I don't want to like character assassinate Jack Mallers, but what are we talking about here with this guy at this point? Like again, like where is the delivery on all the things he's promised over the years? Are you drinking out of a clear Dixie cup? Like this in this economy, you can't even afford a mug, eh? Wow, jeez.
I couldn't find my bottle.
But you just happen to have a clear Dixie cup handy.
I had to get one. I have a few handy here, so I decided to just, what the fuck? It looks like my screen is now no longer frozen, so there you go. See, and you know what? It's clear, it's water. This is what I drink. It's
man. Anyway, listen. I
want to point out something else with Mahler's thing, because he was also saying, and we also talked about it, the 12% API when you lend your Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So they said they're going to be addressing this because in the next little while, they're going to be changing.
How are they going to address it? What is the plan to?
They're going to lower that interest rate.
And what does that mean? What does that mean?
Well, it's no longer going to be 12. It's going to be 11.99. Or whatever number they provide.
None of these things move independently is the thing that I would warn people, like risk moves up and down with rates moving up and down. And, you need a certain amount of protection against, it's just like the solution, Len, honest to God, is just do not take loans against your Bitcoin yet. It's not a mature market. It's easy for him to charge 12% because there's not enough people competing yet. And when there's more people competing, you get a better rate. That's all there is
competition
to it.
makes it.
Yeah.
One smart fella is saying that there's going to be a single digit
APY. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
So you're talking a reduction of 2.1 or more. And also, remember, when you're dealing with this type of service, the volatility of Bitcoin really could wreck folks.
Yeah.
As the value goes down, if there's a drawdown in the price of Bitcoin, you got to provide more collateral. And if you don't have that, well, you're going to get wiped out. And
what are the lending rates?
I don't know. It's been a long time since I've looked at their product.
Ledin's annual rate is, ooh, goodness. What do you think it is?
The way you said it, I'll say 10.5.
10.4. Fuck, you were
holy fuck.
Yeah, wow. Go to the track. Yeah, great guess. That's fucking high too. It seems high to me.
And I think that's probably industry standard. And
yeah.
So but what's going to happen now with Strike offering something that's going to be more competitive, Ledin is going to have to move their rates too.
For sure.
They want to keep customers. There you're talking about having then competition provides better experience for the customer. So this is what you want to see. But in the end, I mean,
okay, so I'll tell you right now,
stay away from these services.
The actual rate, if I go to, so if I went to the Ledin website here, they have a calculator. If I send one Bitcoin, I get back 53.7 53.7K USD on a 12-month term at a 50% LTV. Obviously, the starting rate is 12.4%. So high. That's fucking high, Maurizio. The competition is coming now, right? I think all these guys are having meetings about this. You're probably right.
Dave Ramsey.
Okay, Dave Ramsey did not flip anything. This is like a clickbait, simply clickbait, green clickbait story about some fucking guy who's like a subservient.
It wasn't him that said it.
Yeah, some other fucking guy. And by the way, he didn't fucking say Bitcoin's part of a balanced portfolio. He just said it's not going anywhere. These people will never understand Bitcoin. Okay, they'll never get it. This is just a garbage story that retards on Twitter are like, Dave Ramsey, he's converted. You have to be 0 IQ to be going to all these other YouTube channels, not named CBP, and reading and listening to these people tell you that this changes everything. Dave Ramsey, shocking Bitcoin secret revealed. Don't be retarded. This is all just clickbait nonsense. Watch the video. It's like, I don't know, 4 minutes or something, I'm pretty sure. And in the first 3 minutes, you hear everything you need to hear. So go check it out. Ramsey's not switching anything. The day Ramsey admits that Bitcoin is a legitimate vehicle for savings and investment is the day Dave Ramsey becomes obsolete. Just remember that. He's not going to ever tell you, don't worry about housing, don't worry about that, just buy Bitcoin.
Well, he's the boomer investor for boomers.
But he's like the worst of the worst, right? Like he says you should never have a big mortgage, impossible now. Should never, buy a car on financing, basically impossible now. Like he's living in a different world, completely different world.
No, you're right. And he's also right. If you could somehow do that,
I know. I'm not saying he's necessarily wrong, but it's impossible advice, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And unless you have a huge amount of wealth, it's impossible to do that. But if you do have a huge amount of wealth, you're probably not going to do that.
No one's listening. No one's ever gotten rich listening to Dave Ramsey. Like that's just not. He's not. Yeah, he's not making you rich. There's no doubt about that.
You're not using fiat and leveraging against fiat in order to increase your well, and not to say people should do this. People get wrecked in the whole process.
But Ramsey never giving you the advice to open every piece of mail the bank sends you with a loan opportunity and just piling it into Bitcoin. Dave Ramsey's never going to tell you that.
Do more stories, or we could just transition?
Let's do a couple more. I'll do a couple more.
Katie Martin.
I love this. Did you watch the video?
It's a short clip. I
watched the whole thing. It is so good, Len, how dumb this woman is. And she's like talking nonstop about Bitcoin and the teeth
There
comment.
You go. Please give some context here for people who aren't aware. By the way, she's my no corner of the week for just even having this type of fucking thinking. But
there's
please,
a lot of
people that didn't watch it or listen.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways to spin the Bitcoin scarcity thing. If you're not a fan of Bitcoin, you could say that it's manufactured scarcity, and so it shouldn't count. You could say that things need to be useful and scarce. And if you look at on-chain traffic for spending, it's not that much. It's just people trading it, and it's become a financial instrument. Like that's not I don't think it's a valid criticism, but it's a lot closer than Bitcoin is scarce and valuable because it's scarce, but my teeth are scarce and they're not worth billions of dollars. Like that's not a good argument against Bitcoin. And it's funny, she kind of gives up the game during the interview when she talks about how of over 1,000 or 4,000, some insane number of FT quote unquote analysts and article writers and things of this nature, right? They did a stock picking contest where they had to pick a bunch of stocks, including like potential stock shorts. And last year she finished 5th from the bottom of all the people in the contest. So
how did the dartboard do? Did it beat her?
Better. I don't know. Probably better. I'm not sure.
Well, with respect to the teeth, you have all your teeth, right? Like there's no fit.
I had a bunch pulled when I was a kid, but all the ones I'm supposed to have, I have. Yeah.
So I would imagine to you, your teeth are worth quite a bit. Like,
sure.
I don't know how much Bitcoin you have, but you may consider trading all the Bitcoin you have just to keep your rest of your teeth for the rest of your life.
If it came to that, I mean, I'm not so sure. I've seen some of the work that people are getting done on Instagram and Twitter. I could probably just get some new teeth or something.
But on the open market, your teeth are worth nothing. I'm sorry to say.
Exactly.
Unless it's like
I never have to worry about someone rehypothecating my teeth when I give it to them as loan collateral.
There's no jewel encrusted in it. It's not gold, right? It's just a fucking tooth. So value in the market is fucking nil. But to you, it's worth a lot. And that's what Bitcoin is. How much is it worth?
It's
on
not
the
my
open
teeth.
market?
I maybe only have a certain amount of teeth, but I have an unlimited, amount of enamel, and so they're actually not scarce or rare or anything. So yeah,
Boom Dust is saying she's been covering Bitcoin for over 5 years.
she has. She mentions that she's been like
Wow.
writing about it. She's just stupid. She's just stupid. There's
Truly
there's
a
no
no pointer
other.
of the week.
Yeah, there's no like I try not to. Actually, it's not true. I don't try not to call people stupid on this show. I call them stupid pretty much every week. But like, there's like a difficulty associated with covering something for 5 years and then still not understanding it and offering sort of the worst form of entry level rudimentary criticism of Bitcoin scarcity in a public forum when you're talking to some of the best and brightest, right? Like you can agree or disagree with Jeff Walton, Punter Jeff, about his MSTR strategy and thoughts, but there's no doubt that the guy has done research and feels this way about MSTR because he's done some work on the stock and on the company and on the financialization and understands things like, Bitcoin per share and these other metrics that he thinks contributes to what will be the most valuable company on the planet. You can agree with that or disagree with that, but there's no doubt he's done the work. You can agree or disagree with Saylor talking about stuff like, using debt to lever up your company to buy Bitcoin and raise the price and raise the value of your company and raise the debt. Like you can agree or disagree. You can say it's a Ponzi or a flywheel. Fine. No one cares. Like no one's going to fight with you about this, but there's no argument about whether or not he's done the work to see whether this will continue to be successful or not. He's thought about this a lot. His board has thought about it. His C-suite has thought about it. What we are, I think at some point owed by the media that if we're going to continue to engage with them, we are owed some level of work being done, proof of work, as we like to say. Talk to me about what you've learned about Bitcoin before we sit down for a long form interview. And she just hasn't done any. It's really that simple. There's no way that any thinking person could come up with that criticism, that analogy, if they had done even the littlest bit of work on Bitcoin. It's like impossibly dumb.
She's moving us saying she shorted MSTR without understanding it. That's fucking ballsy.
That was why she finished last in the contest. That was like one of her paper stock picks. Yeah. So like,
also she didn't put actually like real.
No. I mean, Len, someone that dumb doesn't have any money to put on any of this shit anyway. So it's not like she could have used a real portfolio. Like, come on. I don't. It's crazy. Completely insane to me.
One more or quit it?
Fuck it. Let's keep going. Why not?
Robin Hood. It looks like they're coming to Canada.
Yeah. Sort of.
Yeah, at least they're going to be offering us a variety of shitcoins. That looks like that's what they're going to be providing us in terms of their level of services because they offered 250 million Canadian to WonderFi, and that is a Canadian shitcoin exchange. They also have BitBuy and CoinSquare under their umbrella, so they got a few exchanges there. And the 250 million Canadian, I don't know what it is in US dollar, 180 million or whatever the fuck it is. That's a 41% premium over the trade price of WonderFi stock price. So it's hard not
to take it. Yeah,
if you're
someone got rich on that for sure.
Yeah, so they see something here that they want to really fucking get into the Canadian market. Why? I don't know, but if, like I say, with respect to Coinbase, Robinhood is kind of the same bullshit, right? They're offering a lot of shit coins. I would expect that they're outsourcing a lot of trash. So. Maybe. Yeah, I would. If I'm gonna bet, I'm gonna say yeah. And so, like, if you're gonna deal with them, fucking be very careful. You see what happens to the Coinbase customers. So, with respect to that, fuck Robinhood, fuck Coinbase, fuck them all, and deal with a better partner when you're talking about Bitcoin.
Yeah, we should get Jordan Anderson back on the show. It's been a while since he's been on. We were in our infancy when we talked to Jordan at the BitBuy headquarters. I think he came on the day they were bought last time, right? I think he came on, if you remember that. So
it's like every couple of years there's a buyout within that thing.
Yeah, so and he's out of there now. He's moved on to other stuff. I think he's with Mark told us the other day. I forget now, but
I don't remember. And even if I do, I don't want to say in case it's wrong.
He's always, you know what? There's some guys I just like, and whether he goes to work for a shitcoin casino or not, I don't care. Like I'm always willing to have him on. Plus, he gave me my Bitcoin 100,000 hat. He came up to me. I was super hungover at the first Bitcoin conference emceeing. He came up, saddled up next to me, and pulled a hat out of his backpack. He said, "Here, it's for you." All right, thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate that.
That's it, Joey. Let's go to Notable.
Let's do it. Thanks for coming. If you're on audio, stay till tomorrow. Or I guess wait till tomorrow. If you're on video, stick around. We're not going anywhere. We'll talk to you in literally 0 seconds.
And don't be a Katie Martin.